Hi everyone, this is Intuitive Edge. It's time to take a look at our month ahead to see what's going to be playing out in the news and to take an intuitive look at what's going on in our world. Well, here we are at the month of July. I want to take a look at this. I'm going to shuffle up some cards and tell you what I've been seeing and getting intuitively. I think we're in for a pretty impactful month, and that might be an understatement. We'll be right back and we'll get started. As I tuned into this, I saw some pretty difficult and challenging things coming our way. And so I just want to preface this that my intention is not to scare anyone or make people be in fear, but it's simply to maybe give some information that someone might find useful. I'll let you listen to what I've got and you can make your own decisions, but I'm just feeling like this could be a really challenging month. And with every challenge, there's opportunity for growth, for new beginnings, for an exercise in compassion, and there is opportunity for good with every challenge. And I think that this is going to be a really impactful month. I saw some things. I did a tune in initially, do a light meditation, and I tuned in and I saw several things. The most pressing thing that I saw when I tuned in was a train. Now, what I was seeing was a train. I believe it's on like a north-south route, and I believe this is in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. What I was seeing is this train. I think it's a cargo train, but I also feel like there's passengers as well. There's people on board, more than just crew. I feel like there could be a passenger train, but anyway, it is moving along a north-south route, I believe, and it's in like a mountainous area. So I see like evergreen trees, hillsides, mountains. And what I'm feeling is that I see up ahead there is like a landslide or boulders or something, maybe even something wipes out part of the tracks, like a landslide. And the train that does not have a warning of this until it is too late. And I do feel like this train derails or has some sort of issue. I do think that it results in some death. In my mind's eye, I was actually smelling like rotting flesh. And I just felt like death all around. I did sense a young baby, very, very young baby, perhaps less than a year old, that somehow survives. I don't feel like the parents survive, unfortunately. I hear a baby crying and crying and crying. I see like helicopters like trying to land nearby, and I feel like rescue efforts underway to try to help. But I'm just smelling, I don't know if there's a fire involved, if it causes an explosion or something, but I'm just smelling like burning. I don't mean to be graphic, but that's what I was sensing and picking up on, like burning flesh, death, and it was awful. I'm feeling like the passageway is blocked. Here's my notes. The train could derail. I'm feeling this could be mid to late July, possibly. But I do feel like there will be a rescue effort underway. So that's what I picked up there. I did see something about, I do feel like the Pacific Ocean's going to be front and center. There could be some earthquakes along the Ring of Fire. I was pulled down to Australia, and what I was sensing there is some caution around Sydney area. What I sensed, and this was a meditation I did the other day, a couple days ago, where I saw a kangaroo's face. He was chewing on some grass, had like a piece of grass sticking out of his mouth or something out of his mouth. And I see this kangaroo stand up, and all of a sudden he's like full alert for like a half a second. And then it was like, and then I zoomed out in my mind's eye as I'm tuning into this image. I zoom out and I see animals running inland, being chased by water. And I'm feeling like animals just running and running and running. And I got kangaroos. I mean, they were just chaos. Animals running ahead of some, maybe there's a little rogue wave. Hopefully not a huge wave, but I sensed animals running inland. I get there will be some sort of tectonic shifts. I was feeling that. Initially, when I tuned in, I feel like July will be a watery month. This feels like there could be rogue waves. There could be some earth tectonic issues that maybe cause localized tsunamis in some areas. So be aware around water, especially if you're on a beach. And the telltale sign when the waves go way, way out, be careful, there could be waves coming back in. So just be aware of that if you are on a coastline or if you're visiting those areas. Just use extra caution. My caution date, I got July 15th is a day of caution for the globe or certain areas. Just be aware of those. Okay, I did hear this, and this is challenge. This is difficult to come out and say this, but I felt like July being such a watery month that. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I heard a divine portal is opening over the earth somewhere, somehow, that it is opening to accommodate souls crossing over. So there could be an event that causes maybe a localized area to experience some tsunami or something that claims some lives. I know the train issue, I don't know how many souls that involves, but I'm sensing like an expanding of the portal that allows souls to leave Earth. That is expanding. So take that how you want. Hard to say that. Okay. I do see some waves rippling across the ocean. And I did get, this might just be very localized, but I did see like some people climbing up into trees and hanging onto trees while there's maybe a wave coming in and going back out. I did sense there would be land formations, like land sinking and land popping up, like tectonic shifting and plates. So there could be some big earthquakes perhaps that cause some issues. And maybe that's responsible for the train accident that I was seeing. All right, so that's what I get initially. I did shuffle up the cards. I am using my Gilded Tarot Royale deck. So here's what I've got. I wrote out a 10-card spread. All right, so the first card out is talking about the main focus. So since today is the 25th of June, this could be any time from now through the end of July or roughly thereabouts. So the main focus, I have the Three of Wands. This is a card of opportunity. I'm looking at the artwork, especially in this deck. And we see here there's some water coming up, being sprayed onto the land. There's a ship out. Looks like the waves are kind of big. And threes are about movement, action, and opportunity. So there could be some movement with water. That could be a focus for the next 37 days or so. The challenge to this is the Three of Pentacles. Now this card came in reversed. Three of Pentacles is about working on something, putting a plan together. There could be problems with getting plans together. Perhaps if there's waves coming in, maybe this card upside down represents difficulty getting supplies where you need them, or logistics, finding ways to, maybe some of the roads might be washed out, or maybe there's issues with travel, rescue efforts, those kind of things. Disruption in plans is kind of what that card upside down represents. Okay. Next card is the key issue. This is the Death card. Now, death in tarot usually means things are completely changing. This Death card completely changes the landscape, so to speak. Could be literal, could be figurative. Death in tarot doesn't always mean literal death, but in this case it could, given what I was picking up. This is a card of massive, volatile shifts and change. What we need to know, we have the Queen of Cups coming in on that. This is a card of compassion, emotional mastery, leadership, and the gentleness of the feminine coming in with this card. This is a time for compassion, for caring, for consensus, and coming together. And interesting, I was just looking at these little dogs down there and their reflection. Seeing ourselves in the reflection of others. A lot of this is going to be a mirror back to us on how we see ourselves. Sometimes when there are major events or tragedies, we see ourselves in a new light. And this is going to give us the opportunity to dig deep into our compassionate nature and move with compassion. Okay. The past. This is a card of endings. The Ten of Swords is about things coming to an end, and it also presents new beginnings. Interesting, I see those mountains there, because that's a little bit what I was seeing with the train, was something like that. Landscape that looked similar to that. Tall mountain peaks, there were evergreen trees around, and this represents an ending and also a new beginning. That's falling into the past. So something's going to come to an end, perhaps an abrupt end, but it will make way for a new beginning. Okay. The lesson. The lesson is another 10. This 10 is the 10 of Wands. This is a card about a burden, taking on responsibility, taking on... This is a card of a challenge, but it's like you're carrying a burden, holding on to a burden. This is going to be a challenging month. This burden is looking right into this ending card. So it's going to be a challenge these endings present. The immediate future is the Hierophant. This is the High Priest. It's a card of wisdom, but it's also a card of conformity. It's a card of coming together. It's a card of hierarchy and needing to move into leadership. And there could be some issues with leadership. Someone could be coming in, taking over, taking charge, and that could leave some very interesting feelings for some. The Hierophant also represents spiritual awakening. There could be some of that as well. And again, I'm getting that image with the portal, that heavenly portal opening up. This to me is like, I'm just feeling that portal that I was feeling earlier. Making way for souls to cross. So I feel like there's some guidance that is coming in to help with any souls that might cross suddenly or unexpectedly. Sometimes that can be very traumatic. If a soul is confused at the moment of passing, I feel like there are some benevolent guides coming in, represented by this Hierophant leader, that's going to help with that. There will be a measure of help with that. The hope, and that was the immediate future. Okay. The hope is the Three of Cups. This card came in reversed. Three of Cups is about friendship and reunion, but as a reversal, it could be a difficult reunion or a challenge. Perhaps a challenge meeting up with friends, family. And if there is an issue, like what I was sensing earlier, there could be some challenges around friends or family maybe finding a loved one. Perhaps like with the train incident. It could leave a family member frantic, wondering, wanting to reconnect, wanting to connect with a loved one and not knowing maybe their whereabouts for a time until that can be established. And so this is the hope is, oh my gosh, this is upside down, it came in, but we're hoping for the best. We're hoping that friends, family, loved ones are okay. If there's any issues, maybe people are worried. If there's a localized earthquake that causes a water issue, that people around the globe, friends, family, neighbors, there could be some concern, some worry, some general fear. But it's also, this is representing the hope. So the hope is that we'll be reunited with our loved ones and everyone's going to be okay. The promise beyond all of this is the Six of Wands. I like to call this card the triumphal entry. It's a card of accolades, reward. I'm getting the impression with this that there is a nation that is going to be very generous in their help and response. And I don't think it's the United States. I do think the United States, certainly, if there's a global issue, perhaps around the world, I think we would send aid. But I feel like another country that most people would not expect is going to be very generous, and they're going to step up and help. They're going to send aid. And I feel like this is a very wealthy nation. And perhaps this nation is little impacted, or maybe not at all impacted, by some other event across the globe. And this other nation is going to come in and offer assistance, help, in a big way. And it's going to really help maybe shift some people's perspective. Maybe this is a nation that some people don't like, maybe based on the news or what they've heard. And this nation's actually going to do a very kind and generous thing in helping. They're going to put their money where their mouth is, and they're going to help. And it might shock some people. Okay. The ultimate outcome for this month, we have a Knight. Oh boy. Ooh. Give me a moment while I look at this card, guys. This is not looking good. The card is the Knight of Wands. However, in this deck, check this out. There is a volcano erupting in the background, and messengers are cards that tell us there is something coming. There is more to the story, and I think this may be what it's trying to tell us. Perhaps there will be a volcano erupt or an earthquake, but there's lava coming down this mountain in this card, and this is on the outcome. This could be literal. Now, maybe not. Maybe it's just metaphoric that there's a message. This is a card of taking action, a card of movement. But I just can't help but notice the volcano in the background going off. So there could be issues with that. Underneath, I always like to look at the underneath card on the deck. And this is the 4. Get the glare off of there. This is the 4 of Cups. I call this the card of refusal. Sometimes it's really not wanting to deal with what is in front of you and wanting to stay in denial, not see what's right ahead. And if the lesson and all of this is really about earth changes, tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanoes, and perhaps train accidents or other types of disturbances with transportation, this could be a very challenging month, and it may not be fun to address and look at. But I do think the hope is going to be focused on finding loved ones and the promise of help coming, maybe from an unexpected source or an unexpected nation that is actually acting with great compassion. The one thing that I did here when I did my meditation at the end was global upheaval, and I did see debris floating in the ocean. So however this ends up, and we hope maybe it's just a localized event where maybe just one region or one area. I hope it's not like a global scale catastrophe, but I do think that we could see some movement in the oceans this month. And as we know, when tragedy strikes, humans dig deep in their hearts, and oftentimes it shows us what's in our own hearts, whether that is for the highest good or whether we devolve into our selfish nature. Most people, when faced with tragedy, set themselves aside and do what's right for the highest good. And that is, I believe, what we will see. But I think this is going to be a very tumultuous month, and there could be lots of earth changes. That's what I see for the month of July. I'm going to leave that here. Be cautious around water. And I would maybe plan a train trip for another day. If you're going on a train trip this month, maybe postpone it, or I don't know, down the road. That's kind of what I'm seeing, but I'll leave it up to you. Use your best discretion. And again, this is what I see intuitively. As always, use your own best judgment. Don't take what I say as gospel. There could be changes and shifts in what I see. So I just want to throw this out there. If anybody wants to heed what I say, that's fine. But use your own discernment. That is, after all, what I feel called to do, is not just tell you what I think, but inspire people to trust their own gut and to listen to their own intuition. We all have a measure of intuition. So that's what I want to say for this month, and I wish everybody the best, and I hope in a month that maybe this will be just a very smooth month and maybe just a few local things, but hopefully that's what we have coming. But we'll see. We'll see what eventually pans out. All right, everybody, that's what I see in the cards, and that's what I see intuitively. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.